Hey guys, welcome back, or welcome, whichever it may be for you. Today we're going to be sticking a, 1996 ZJ steering box into a, this is a 2000 XJ. It's my oldest boy's Jeep. He's got some slop in the steering wheel. Those of you who follow the channel will know that we had a ZJ for parts, so Bob's your uncle. We're gonna snag out the steering box and put it in. It's not gonna be all that hard. In my opinion, the hardest part is getting the steering shaft off so far. I don't plan on changing a whole lot of anything. It should all, for the most part, just one for the other, just as if you, so this should work as a tutorial of how to also just change a steering box if that's what you're looking for. So with that being said, let me show you where we are right now and then we'll get started. As you can see, laying here on the floor, we have our ZJ steering box. We've got to pull the Pittman arm off of that because he has 1-ton steering on his Jeep, so we'll have to use the Pittman arm from it. Not a big deal. In here, I've went ahead and moved the air intake out of my way. I have also removed the electric fan if you have one. On further inspection, I may not remove the power steering pump. I may just disconnect it all from the box and drain it because it probably needs new fluid anyway. There is a bolt down in there. It is right down there. And you got to pull that off and pry this back. And that's going to be a beast. I'm sure of it. All the other ones have been. So that being said, I'm going to set you up to where you can hopefully get a somewhat of a view. Matt is got his son at a doctor's appointment, I believe. So I'm out here at the shop today by myself for right now. And I don't have anyone to kind of hold a camera for me, so I'm going to do my best. Please bear with me. It's one bolt right there. Once you get it off, you just gotta kick, scream, and pry, and maybe even cry, and get that steering shaft pulled back off of what it's the splines that it's on. If I come up with a better way, I'll do that, and I'll let you know. You also need to remove your power steering lines. Careful doing that. You don't want to twist the line off. Go slow, be patient. And make sure you have a good drain pan. So I need to go find one. Okay, so I got me a bucket of sorts, and we're going to try to make as little mess as possible. We're going to go ahead and get these lines off. I'm still looking for a good place to put you. It's probably going to be a top-down view. I apologize. I'm using a 18mm to undo these lines. So let's get you to where you can see. Alrighty. How big a mess can we make? Let's start with the, what is that? That looks like the return line. So this one. Maybe we can make the least amount of mess as possible with it. It would be great if I could see to get my wrench on. We're going to take this probably a quarter of a turn or less at a time. There is just no room with that lower radiator hose on, and I'm not pulling it, so I'm gonna just fight. Actually, I'm gonna go see if I got a stubby. Oh, look at that. Can't get it out because the feed line's in the way. Okay. Well, at least it's loose. Break the feed line loose. This is where the mess is going to come in. Ooh! Okay. Well, the return line decided it wanted to come out. Well, maybe that'd give us a little extra grabbing room. People wonder how mechanics spend so much on tools. It's because they've done a job at some point that a tool, a certain specific type of tool would be handy, and they're like, I'm never doing it that way again. And they go spend untold amounts of money on buying something, buying that specific tool, or buying a set of wrenches that has that one tool in it because you can't buy it as a single anywhere. All to avoid ever having to do that one task again. And I'm gonna be that guy at some point. I'm gonna go buy stubby wrenches, a full set. We have a few, but I think it's like 5 of them for metric and 5 for standard, or SAE, whatever you want to call it. It's gonna fight me the whole way. Yippee. Do something like that, keep that up out of the way for now. All right. So now, gonna make sure we got all our stuff out of the way. We don't need anything getting in the way, making this job any harder than it has to be. Not entirely sure what size that bolt is. So, when in doubt, start guessing. Okay guys, so I forgot to turn the camera on, but I did get the bolt out. I fought like the dickens to do so, and I'm probably gonna have to get a different bolt for it, but such is life. All right, so now I got it. Throw on the tool. I got it to where the bolt's out. Turn the steering here to where I can find this slit. And then I'm gonna hit it with a screw. I thought I was gonna put this in it, but I need a screwdriver and a hammer. And I'm going to spread it apart to the best of my ability, and then try and shove it back. That looks decently spread apart. Oh yeah. All right, so I got it. I know you can't see. I got it to scoot back about ½ inch. So now what we're gonna do is jump underneath and take apart our drag link and start pulling that Pittman arm. So let's do that. All right, so the first thing, let's go ahead and get our cotter pin out. That should be, you know, just easy. I'm sure it won't be. There we go. There we go. Now I'm using 1 1/8. I don't think it's the right size, but it's right enough for what we're doing. Oh. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take this out. We had to drill this and whatnot, so it wasn't stuck up there as tight as most of them are. If yours is stuck, you can whack the side of it with a hammer. A couple real, good strikes right here. Just make sure you've left your castle nut onto a point so it don't fall. That being said, I'm gonna take the nut off. There we go. There's that. All right, guys. As soon as I can find my impact, we're gonna take this Pittman arm bolt off, or at least we're gonna try to. All right, and away we go. Oh, hey, that was pretty easy. All right, Pittman arm puller. Now, these things are notorious for breaking, so let's be careful. Well, what do you know? Mine don't want to fit. Okay, there it goes. I had my seal fall down, so I guess you'll have that happen. All right. All right. I got some good tension on it. I'm gonna find my hammer that I laid down. And I'm gonna tap it. All right. I'll give it a little more. And I'm gonna do the same thing. And I'm gonna repeat this process until it comes off. All right, guys. So it's off. It struggled a little bit, but some hardy love taps with pressure on that Pittman arm puller and it come right off. It also helps if you put anti-seize on it first, when you first do it. And I did, but that bolt gets tightened really tight. So, all right, now we're gonna set up to start pulling the box off itself. All right, y'all. Tech tip, whatever you wanna call it. Some people do it, some don't, so I won't say you have to. You will have a fight though. Let me get to the point. I'm gonna drop my sway bar down. All I'm gonna do is undo these two bolts right here on both sides, and I'm gonna just let it swing down. Actually, it'll probably swing way down here because I got quick disconnects, so I guess technically I could pull it all the way off if I wanted, but that just seems like a lot of work. And then we'll get to these bolts up here and get this box out. So I'm gonna take that down. I ain't gonna make you watch. It's 4 bolts. I think they're a 15. They're a 15 or a 14. So let's do that. Okay guys, so I got them off. Took all of 2 seconds. Oh, sorry. Took all of 2 seconds. They were 15 millimeter. So now let me show you what we're doing. So there's a bolt here, and then the other one is right here, right there. Those 3 bolts are what hold your steering box, your gearbox, whatever you want to call it. That's what's holding it in place. Now that being said, That's what is holding that thing in place. That shaft, we already got it busted loose, so when I take out that third bolt, it's gonna try and come and get me. Again, I'm working by myself. I don't have an extra set of hands. Not overly worried about it, but I don't have a place to put the camera. I don't have the tripod. I'm gonna have to one hand hold that heavy thing in place while I pull out that third bolt. So take them 3 bolts out. They should come right out, no problems. If you have a problem, well, it's an old one, so get a bigger impact and make it come out. If you don't have an impact, get a cheater bar. Bolts are cheap. Fingers and hands aren't. So do what you gotta do, get it out, and then we'll go back to putting it together. All right, guys, there's the old one. Here's the new one. I'm gonna go ahead and take the lines off of it and get that Pittman arm off of it. I don't feel like you guys need to see that again. So I'm gonna do that and then we'll go back together with it. But yeah, 2 of my bolts broke off. Third one stayed in and that thing hit the ground like a ton of lead. So definitely be careful. All right, guys, so we're about to start putting this back in. I just want to show you something. Make sure you have this piece off of your old one. It's the spacer that helps align it for your steering shaft. Now, that being said, I'm gonna put it in. Goes in the same way it come out, same 3 bolts. Unless you did what I did and you broke them off, because that happens. Mine were seized in there, so it happens. Just luckily I have the ones from when I took it off the ZJ and they're still good, so I'm gonna put them in. But I can't hold the camera and show you how to go put it up in there. It's gonna be a fight, know that going in. And I'll show you when I got it up there and what we're doing. Okay, guys, so we are back up here and ready to put this back on. Not really sure what my steering wheel location is, so yeah, we'll have to mess with that in a minute. But for the most part, it's all just reverse operations. So we'll grab our steering shaft here. That is turning my steering wheel. In unknown directions. All right, guys, when you put that rod on, make sure you look at the inside. There is a flat spot on the steering box and inside that knuckle or that joint that slides over. And you need to make sure they're aligned and they're not where you think they're gonna be initially. They're not at the split. They are 90 degrees offset. So make sure you're aware of that and you're paying attention to it, or you'll do what I did and spend 25 minutes fighting with it to figure out you were doing it wrong. So the only thing left I have to do is hook my lines back up and put my bolt back in. And then I can mess with the track bar and all that. Or not the track bar, the drag link, and putting the Pittman arm on. As far as that goes, as far as putting the Pittman arm on, look up the torque spec for your own vehicle or your own Jeep. I believe this one's 185 foot-pound. I got to look and double check, but it all the rest of it goes back together the way it come out. It's a very painless process if you pay attention and do the right things, and you don't just try and force stuff like I did. So I'm gonna button all this up, get it all back together. If I run into anything interesting, I'll come back and tell you about it. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get this done. So let me do that. All right, guys, that wraps us up. It's all back together. I still have to bleed the power steering before I drive it or before I give it back to Uriah. Not a hard upgrade. Took me a couple hours, and that's with having to move the camera around and fighting with the steering shaft because I didn't pay close enough attention to it. I spent probably 20 minutes trying to put the steering shaft on wrong. I had it 90 degrees out, not a big deal. And in all transparency, when I put the Pittman arm on the first time, I put it on in the wrong orientation. So make sure you remember how it came off, the old one. It should point to the back of the vehicle, and make sure that it's doing that halfway through the maximum amount of turns that you can put into your box. That being said, I hope you learned something, or you at least enjoyed yourself watching me make a fool of myself. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. It really does help us out. And we will see you guys next week with another adventure and doing something we've never done before. Bye, guys.